Wow, it's been a morning. It has been a morning.
And an ASMR for the live, Troy. We're live for 2 minutes.
We are live.
Okay.
Live. It wasn't quite 11 o'clock yet. I was just trying to give people time to join. In case they want us to, or they want it to. Silence is golden.
I think your speaker on your laptop's on. Maybe. Yeah, that's better now.
Is that better?
We have one person attending. Leanna, good morning. We're going to give her about another minute or so, and then we'll get started. Uploading. After the meeting with the governor this morning, there are going to be some changes to the reopening plan in the next phase. So I need to make sure we updated the community about that. And you all can discuss your amazing morning this morning with all of the folks showing up for their gift cards, and make sure that people know that they have more coming this afternoon. We have everybody here today but Raylene. She decided to take a 6-hour lunch. Oh man, I shouldn't say that out loud because people really do think that we take 6-hour lunches, which is the strangest thing.
Inside joke.
Inside joke, yes. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to add the new version of the reopening plan to the. Yeah, Leanna, that's actually does happen. People are making comments saying that we're taking long lunches, but we're here the whole time. Interesting, right? Okay, good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. It is March 31st, 2022. Time is 11:03 a.m. Welcome again to our weekly COVID and Health and Human Services update. I'm Troy, and if everybody else wants to say who they are and what they do before we get started.
Sure. I'm Rebecca Jolin. I'm the public health nurse here at CNI.
Good morning. I'm Claudia Lenti. I work as the CHR generalist and also a part of the COVID team and whatever else needs to be done.
Hello, my name is LaDawn. I'm the Tribal Public Health Educator.
Good morning, everybody. Thelma Gonzalez, CHR.
I think I should unmute myself so I can talk again.
I can still hear you because I'm muted.
All right. Thank you guys very much for that. So, quick update. Our COVID update for today. Last week we had a total of 218 positive cases for the duration of the pandemic, and we've had a few new cases since last week. In fact, we are up to 221 total cases, with 217 having recovered. We actually got a new case today, so that brings us up to 2 active cases. One came out of isolation in the last couple of days. So we are still holding steady at 2 active cases. I think that is really all we have as far as COVID cases. We're still offering testing over here at the Pueblo, at the medical building. If you need to get tested, contact us and schedule an appointment. Vaccinations are still being offered throughout the IHS system. If you need to make an appointment to get a vaccine, you can head over to IHS and schedule an appointment there. But I think the big news about the vaccinations is the approval of the 4th dose, or the second booster dose, that was authorized within the last couple of days. New Mexico Department of Health just recommended the booster as of yesterday. However, the IHS system hasn't yet acknowledged that they're going to be offering the dose for community members unless there's been an update since this morning. But that's really what all we have as far as the updates. There are a lot of questions about the reopening plan and how the public is going to be opening up throughout the phases. And we had another meeting this morning with Governor to discuss that, and there have been some changes. So I wanted to emphasize a couple of the changes. Yes, 55 and older. 50 and older for Pfizer and Moderna is what the recommendation is for the 4th dose. I'm trying to put this on the screen here. So last week we talked about the reopening plan and wanted to emphasize the phases. We are in phase 1. But there were some questions about start dates of the different phases, as long as the plan goes as we like it to, meaning the case count stays low and it stays managed and under control. Um, phase 2 is technically scheduled to start next week on April 5th, as long as we continue on the path we're going right now. One of the changes to the plan from last week was the opening of the Povika entrance. That is going to be delayed, and I'll let you know why here in a second. There's going to be a road project where they're going to be doing construction, repaving the roads, and there's no way to allow that entrance to open if that construction is going on. So it is not going to make it easy for us to. It is not going to make it easy for the travel administration to open that entrance and then have to close it again because of the construction. So the administration has decided that they're going to keep that entrance closed the way it is now until the completion of the construction, so that there's not a lot of confusion and it doesn't make any problems for people, getting used to coming to the Pueblo, the main entrance, and then having to change that later on. So that is an adjustment to the reopening plan, which also includes not moving the monitor stations to that location at this point, because that is not going to, there's no need to have it there if there's going to be an issue with having to reclose it again during the construction period. Additionally, there are some additions to the tourism schedule. We're going to put out a new version of this with information about tourism and what the hours are going to be once this week move into phase 2. There are going to be some changes and some information. It should be included in the bulletin when it comes out this coming week. So look out for that, because there's going to be some changes from the original executive order about how those things are going to be managed. So I think that's all I have, unless someone else has an update before we go into Rebecca's presentation about DNA and RNA versus mRNA, which has
Mrna Vaccines.
been some challenges understanding for folks. So anybody on the team have any more updates on COVID related issues?
Did you want me to explain the about the cards, or do that after?
No, you can do that now. That's fine.
Okay, so just a reminder that we're giving out the vaccine card, the gift cards today, but you must bring your vaccine cards with you. You also must have had the booster with that. So the individuals 12 years and up should have 3, and the children's 11 and under should have 2. Also, it's only for tribal members, so just remember about that. Also, when you come to get your gift card, there are cones out, which is having you go around the senior center, and it'll have the cone showing where to go. Please drive slow, because there are people who are walking around the area. Please do not park outside and walk in. This is a drive-through, so we'd really appreciate that. And if you have any questions, you can give us a call on the COVID phones. Some people were calling us in our office during the time, but we were outside, so we couldn't answer the phone. So best number to call is 505-252-5986, and you'll reach us that way. Thank you.
I'm just muted. Thank you very much, Thelma. I was actually, I don't know if you just saw that email from Kim Jones about the scheduling for vaccines for the 50 and older. I kind of wanted to bring that to the attention of the community before we go any further. So it looks like I just said a few minutes ago that IHS had not yet endorsed the recommendation, and I just got an email 3 minutes ago saying IHS has now endorsed the CDC recommendation for the second booster. So they are going to start scheduling the booster shots for 50 and older. The second booster doses of either Pfizer or Moderna for individuals ages 50 and older have to be at least 4 months after the receipt of your first booster dose or the third shot of any authorized or approved COVID-19 vaccine. The second dose is for immunocompromised individuals ages 12 and older, Pfizer, and age 18 and older, Moderna, are also approved. Those are for immunocompromised individuals, and it has to be at least 4 months after receiving your first booster dose. Adults who received a primary vaccine and booster dose of Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine at least 4 months ago may also receive a second booster dose using either Pfizer or Moderna. The recommendation applies to those 50 years and older, or those 12 and older who are immunocompromised. So just wanted to put that out there because as of a couple of minutes ago, that was just authorized through IHS. So you can make your appointments at the Santa Fe Service Unit. In the Santa Fe office is for the Santa Fe Service Unit. You can also do it for the Santa Clara Health Center as well as San Felipe Health Center if you wanted to drive out that way. So I appreciate it if you guys call if you needed to help us need us to help you to schedule those. Please give us a call on the COVID line 505-252-5986. We appreciate it. All right. And I'll actually post that on social media here soon and send it out to the administration as well so they can post it on the tribal website.
Troy?
Yes.
Just to answer Leanna's question, we would like if you could go ahead and bring your kids, but yes, you have to bring your vaccine card. We do not need your CIB. We do have the list of who's all tribal members, so we will scratch you off when we find your name on there, but you have to bring the copy or bring the vaccine cards, and we'll make a copy of it or take a picture of the cards. Let me see what else is there. And we'd appreciate if you could just, go ahead and bring your kids so we can give them their vaccine cards if it's possible, because we're open from 4 to 6 this afternoon. Thank you.
So we're going to hold off here a little bit and see if there are any other questions, because I'm sure there's going to be some additional questions about the cards. So I'm going to give everybody an opportunity just in case. We do have Nicole Summer Martinez from the Tewa Outreach program that's going to be providing a message at the end of our presentation today. So I wanted to make sure if anybody's interested in listening to that, stay tuned. And we're going to give it a couple more minutes, and then we'll turn it over to Rebecca to report on her presentation.
Troy?
Yes.
Can I go ahead and also add a few things?
Yes.
Also, just to let people know that some people last time when they received the gift card, they were having some issues with the gift card. So when you open the gift card, inside kind of gives you instructions on how to use the gift card if you do have issues. For an example, if you go buy groceries and your groceries came up to $70 per se, and your gift card's $6, you will notify the cashier that you have a gift card for $60 so they can input it into the system. You'll swipe it, the $60 will be used, and then you're responsible for the remaining balance. So that's how some of it's used. Also, if you go to Totavi to get gas, you have to go inside and let them know that you have a gift card and you want to utilize that, because it may or may not work at the pumps, but you can try both. But that's how it would work on that. So in case some people, we've gotten calls and people telling us it doesn't work, it will work. You just have to do it that way. And some people are calling. There's a number in the back or on that card too that you can go ahead and call to set up your thing if you're having more of a hard time. If all that does not work, and then you can give us a call. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Thelma. So I just uploaded the document that shows the FDA authorization, CDC approval for the additional booster dose and dose for immunocompromised folks. I wanted to put that up there so if somebody's watching this later on, they can actually see the recommendation. That section that's highlighted in red is the section that talks about who is eligible, and that way folks can actually see that when they log on or watch this at a later time. So if you had any questions about it, it is going to go out in the in the bulletin. Hopefully I can get it to go out in the bulletin as well, but it is important that if you are eligible, it's been 4 months past your last booster shot and you are age 50 and older or you're immunocompromised, it's important for you to get your additional booster. It is important that we understand that COVID has not gone away and COVID is still an issue. So most of the people who are testing positive for COVID right now have either not gotten their booster shot or they got their last booster shot and that time frame has elapsed and their immunities have decreased. So we're not saying that everybody absolutely has to, but the recommendation per the CDC, FDA, and the New Mexico Department of Health, and now the Indian Health Services, is that you get your booster dose if you fit into the category as identified on the flyer that's on the screen. All right. We'll announce that towards the end for the HHS updates, Leanna. Just in case anyone's interested, we'll announce the Aquatic Center information at the end, because we do want to provide an update on the gym membership program as well. So we'll talk about that towards the end. So I'm going to turn it over to Rebecca. It's all yours.
You had my presentation. All right. So this is really exciting for me. I love learning and going through some science here, and specifically we're focusing on the COVID vaccines. This presentation is mostly going to be focused on specifically the mRNA vaccines. So we have a simple model that shows DNA, RNA, and mRNA. And DNA, this entire circle is a cell, a living cell that's either, this one is essentially the model of a human cell. It's basic. It just has the cell and the nucleus. And this could be a muscle cell. This could be a skin cell. This could be a cell in an organ. So it's a very generic model. But DNA it's a self-replicating material that's present in almost all living organisms. And it's the carrier of genetic information. Genetic information can be expressed in a variety of different ways, whether it be human or an animal or a fish. It
essentially instructs our body when we're being developed and as we grow and as we age, a variety of different things. For example, eye color is a genetic trait. RNA is something that carries instructions from DNA. That what RNA does is it controls the creation or synthesis, if you will, essentially makes and controls what makes proteins in the body. So in some viruses, they only have RNA, but they don't have DNA. So they're a little more of a simple system. Because RNA is just a single strand, whereas DNA is a double strand. And you can kind of see that in the picture. mRNA is another step further down. So mRNA is a version of RNA. The M stands for messenger. That mRNA carries a specific message to create a protein. And there are many different types of proteins in the body. They're the same that we get from our diets, just broken down into a more molecular size structure. So each type of protein has a different job based on what the mRNA or the messenger RNA tells it to. Some examples of mRNA, or proteins, some examples are keratin, something that makes our nails hard and gives feathers their stiffness but flexibility. Zine, which gives structure to corn. Lactase, that helps us digest dairy products or lactose. And insulin, which when it is within our bodies, helps us regulate blood sugar levels. And we use insulin as a medication when our bodies are no longer able to do it for us. So when we move on to vaccines, this will all tie in together. I know it kind of seems a little rapid. I didn't want to get into enormous detail about all the tiny little components in DNA and RNA, but make it so that everyone can understand where and how these mRNA vaccines work. So in the mRNA vaccine, the message is to make the spike protein portion that's identical to the one on a COVID-19 virus. And that is essentially a protein. And that component is what helps the virus attach to our cells so that it can enter and attack them. So when we have the vaccine, it gives our body the blueprint for just the spike protein. And it's like giving our body a photo ID of what the coronavirus looks like on the outside. And that's so our body's immune system can recognize it faster and eliminate it. The vaccine contains the mRNA that carries the message to build the spike protein. So essentially, the mRNA in the vaccine is contained in what they call a lipid. It's really like a bubble with a fatty surface on it. So it holds that RNA in there. And it gets into the body and it gets out to the cells and it passes on instructions. And the cells, they build the spike protein. So essentially, these little fatty bubbles with the mRNA get into your cells and pass the instructions on to build these spike proteins. So your body starts to generate spike proteins. And essentially what it does is the immune system, it recognizes these spike proteins as foreign. And when your body recognizes something as foreign, a whole cascade of items happen. Essentially, your body starts to do things, and that's why you may start to feel a little ill. You might feel sore, tired. You might feel a little hot or feverish. It's because your immune system is kicking into action.
So when the immune system is alerted to the foreign spike protein, the antibodies attach to that. And you can see essentially the photo on the right is the mRNA inside the fatty bubble, or the phospholipid is what they would call it, that has generated a spike protein on the cell. And on your right of that, in that picture, is the antibodies, and they're going to attach to that spike protein. Now you want to keep in mind that that bubble, that cell with the mRNA in it, is not the actual coronavirus. And that is that is within our system and doesn't have the actual coronavirus with its own RNA in it. That is separate. So essentially what the antibodies do is they go around and they see these spike proteins and they attach to them. And what that is like putting a little flag on something for the body to notice. And so once they've marked that spike protein, our immune system kicks into action because the antibodies are out there and they have alerted our body that there is a foreign invader. And so what happens is our body sends out memory B cells and T cells. And what the memory B cells do is they remember the structure of that spike. They essentially take the information from that spike and remember its structure, what it's made of, and everything to do with it. And that's their job. And then what happens is the T cells come along and they actually envelop what the spike protein is attached to. They envelop it and destroy it. So some of the common questions that I've heard about COVID vaccines. One is, can the mRNA vaccine change my DNA? Which makes sense. You would think they're attached. That's a very good question to ask. So essentially, no, mRNA cannot alter DNA. It basically does its job by entering our system, passing along its message, which in this case with the vaccines is build just this spike protein so that our bodies can get to know it, recognize it, and eliminate it. And then the mRNA itself actually, it degrades. It essentially dies off in about 72 hours. And it becomes cell waste, which is removed from our cells by an organelle called lysosomes. And that gets more into cell anatomy. If you've ever taken cell anatomy, lysosomes are kind of like the garbage men of our cells. They take all the junk, they envelop it, and then they essentially are removed from the cell and they transport that to waste system. The other question that I have encountered, and I've seen this happen with folks, is why do I feel sick after getting a vaccine? And it's not just the COVID vaccines. We can feel ill after getting a flu vaccine or many other vaccines, and sometimes we feel symptoms from those vaccines. But it's because our bodies are doing the work of building that immune response. If you think of things on a cellular level, the amount of energy the amount of energy it needs to do these processes on such a large scale as our bodies, it's an enormous amount and it's an enormous effort. So essentially, we're building an immune response. It's kind of like a fire drill. When we get our vaccines, it's kind of like alerting our body to what to look for, and then it practices doing that and removing those spike proteins alone from our body, so that if we do get an infection, that our body's able to respond in a way that is effective and helpful for us. It's not always a guarantee of defense against the virus, but it's a much, much higher chance of protecting yourself and others, because obviously if you have that immune response, then you're less likely to carry it for a long time, which can lead to more infections in the community. So why did they come up with mRNA vaccines? They've actually been around since the 70s within research for a variety of different conditions. They're easy to produce in a laboratory. It's really easy to, for example, I've done experiments in school where we've taken onions and we've actually isolated DNA from it. And you can actually see it. It's kind of clumped up, but you can see it like on a toothpick. So it's very similar, though I'm sure much smaller and requiring laboratory equipment to see. It is much easier for them to manufacture these vaccines. They're also broadly safe. I know a lot of folks out there may have reservations about receiving vaccines and about what's in them and what kind of preservatives are involved. It's not something that is widely published as far as out in the news. So it's really important to understand that whenever you're dealing with a pandemic, for example, if we go back to the days when polio vaccines were required in order to eliminate polio, there are some very, very rare cases in which people experience serious side effects and need assistance. But for the most part, this is really the way to go. It's safe for the majority of people, and other things are considered on a case-by-case basis. So here I've lined up the vaccines with what kinds they are, because I know some folks have gotten the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. The Johnson & Johnson is essentially created using, utilizing the viral vector method. And I'm not really going hugely into that in this presentation, simply because it's sort of similar to, all vaccines sort of have a similar function in the way they work. And they essentially take a virus that does not harm humans, and they add that component from the COVID vaccine that's not infectious, and they mix that together in the vaccine, and that's what that viral vector vaccine is. Whereas we've just gone over it's actually mRNA vaccine, which has the spike protein in it, or the messenger RNA, to initiate our immune response. So I do want to open it up for questions. I know I went a little fast. I tried not to. I get very excited about these sciences. So feel free to ask any questions that you may have. If I can't answer them right off the bat, you can always email me at arjulin@cdcfoundation.org. I'm more than happy to answer questions that you have. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to present today.
Thank you, Rebecca, for that presentation. I think that, it's important to understand one of the reasons why this was a topic that was brought to you all as a presentation is because there were a lot of questions in the beginning about the mRNA vaccination, and questions about, will it change my DNA, or will it cause me to be infertile, or all these different questions about mRNA, because people never heard of it before. And when you don't hear about something, it seems like, okay, I'm not doing that because that's new, that's important. But like Rebecca was saying, it's been around since the 1970s in one way, shape, or form through the research. And they originally employed the mRNA method with the MERS and original SARS vaccines. And so they had a kind of a head start on how they thought this was going to work with the coronavirus, because MERS and SARS being coronaviruses, it was basically the same process. They're trying to attack the virus in the same way. The good and fortunate deal with MERS and original SARS CoV-1 is that it kind of mutated its way out of existence. I mean, but they've never had to use that vaccine to try to prevent the original coronaviruses that came around in 2003 and 2004, because they kind of went away, so to speak. All these mutations that we keep hearing about, the variants, it's a similar process. They will mutate to the point where they don't have enough hosts to establish a kind of a foothold in the community, because there's not enough people infected. So that with SARS-CoV-1 and MERS, the Middle Eastern respiratory syndrome virus, that's where this mRNA vaccine process got introduced in the coronavirus conversation. So they aren't new to trying to prevent coronaviruses. It's 19 years ago. That is when they originally got brought to the conversation. So there's a lot of research around these vaccines and that method of vaccine application. So I'm grateful that Rebecca was here to be able to explain the details of it, because it does give a better perspective of that. A lot of folks continue to question, the reliability or the efficacy or the safety of mRNA vaccines. And it's important to understand how they work, why they're used, and why they're so effective. And so I appreciate, I'm sure the community appreciates the explanation that you're able to give. So we're looking out for questions, and it doesn't look like there are any. All right. Well, thank you, Rebecca. If anyone has any questions about this, maybe you felt that the presentation went a little faster than you were able to understand or to grasp, you can email Rebecca at the email that's on the screen, rgln@cdcfoundation.org, or you can try getting a hold of her on the COVID hotline phone. You can call the number 505-252-5986, and we'll find her. She'll be around someplace, and we'll get you access to her so that she can answer any questions that you might have. Especially for those who are still, skeptical about getting vaccinated, and as all these additional booster shots continue to be recommended, you're going to want to know, is it safe to get another booster? Is it safe to have another mRNA vaccine put into my body? These are questions that can be answered through this explanation as to why it's safe and why it's not like consistently introducing a different medication into your body over and over and over. It's not the same thing. Like she said, that it kind of pushes the mRNA piece out of your system after 72 hours. So it doesn't stay in your system. It just, it's almost like the old cars. If you think about the old cars that you needed starter fluid to get your carburetor to start, you spray a little starter fluid in the carburetor and it evaporates. But guess what? The engine started, and now your car is going. So it's kind of a similar process. Once it evaporates, it's gone, but yet the motor is already started. It's the same thing. Your immune system is already started. So the damage is not done. All it is that it generated an immune response, and you have that protection for between 4 and 6 months. So it's a great option for preventing serious injury or serious illness from COVID. So okay, so I'm going to take that down off the screen. So before we switch over to let Summer provide her presentation or her information or announcement, do any of the other team members have anything to offer on this topic before we move over? Hearing none, seeing none, we're going to bring you into the conversation, Summer, if you're ready. And I will get your items added so you can use that for the presentation. How are you doing today, by the way?
I'm good. Good morning, everybody. So thanks again, Health and Human Services. You guys have a great outreach here within the Pueblo on live streams, and truly grateful for you letting me be on. So today actually is the community outreach meeting on the Tewa Speaks language grant through the Association for Native Americans that was awarded to the Pueblo. Again, like you said, Nicole Summer Martinez, Tewa Outreach Coordinator. So what outreach means is to go out there and get information, connect people, all that fun stuff. So that's basically what I'll be doing. We've scanned the Pueblo, and there are 190 homes that are inhabited, and people live in them, multi-generational homes, single person homes, single family homes. And what we're doing is we are going to assess the fluency of Tewa. And this isn't for us to assess, it's for the people in the Pueblo to assess their fluency of their Tewa. So, Troy, if you can bring up the proficiency scale, I can go through that for the people that are out there. And this is what you'll be seeing when I go knock on your door, or if you would, after I initially knock on your door, if you would rather meet in Zoom or fill the forms out and bring them back to me, that is how we will work with it. So the fluency scale has been overlooked by Rick Giuliani, who's the education director. And then this is what will be looked at tonight at the community meeting, because the community is going to have a lot of input in this, and that's what we're hoping for. So the proficiency scale is basically a scale that will assess where you think you are with your Tewa speaking. And I don't know if you were able to bring it up, Troy.
Yeah, it's taken a couple of minutes. It's loading now, but it'll come up.
Okay, so there we go. So if you're a level 1, you have no ability to speak Tewa, but you have limited understanding of spoken words. If you're at level 2, you understand only basic Tewa commands and how to address others, but you don't have ability to speak in phrases or sentences. If you have limited proficiency, you have some ability to understand and speak Tewa, but you're limited to phrases. Many have limited ability to engage in simple conversation and understanding of a limited number of words and on limited range of topics. So just to point out here, this is kind of where I sit between 2 and 3. So that's my own self-assessment of myself. Tonight I want to also put in, if people know prayers or songs, that's a lot of knowledge too. So we want to put that somewhere in here between 2, 3, and 4. So 4 is emerging proficiency, which is the ability to understand and speak Tewa developing, can engage in simple conversation, understanding of many words on different topics. 5 is basic proficiency. You can understand and speak Tewa much of the time and engage in conversation, and you have an understanding of many words on different topics. Full proficiency is you can understand and speak Tewa with ease. You don't get like startled or nervous or, all that fun stuff. You have a deep understanding of words related to many topics and the ability to use them in conversation. So this is still a draft form, what you're looking at right now. This is what's going to be talked about tonight. I'm praying that there will be a lot of people there. We do have the order in place, but if there's, Lillian, we were trying really hard to get it available Zoom. I can talk to Rick, but this is going to be more of a conversation to where, if you come, it's big enough for people to sit and have that conversation. This is why I wanted to put some of the information of what we're talking about on the live stream today, because I know there's a lot of people that can't make it tonight. So this is basically kind of what we're going through in a shorter, condensed version right now. But this is, like I was stating, this is a draft form. This is where our people are going to let me know. So if you have questions or comments now, you can shoot them over the comments so I can bring those up as well tonight. This is also where we wanted to, because this is your self-assessment. I don't know how much Tewa everybody knows, but I put out there, I'm like about a 2-3. So that's kind of where I'm at. I really want people to come forward and, really put themselves out there too, because if you're at a 6 and you can help us, because, San Ildefonso, we're part of, I think it's 5 pueblos that speak Tewa, if I'm not mistaken. But San Ildefonso has a distinct way of saying certain things. So does other pueblos, so we were focusing on San Ildefonso pronunciation and all that fun stuff. But we also want to identify the full proficiency speakers, because they're the ones that are going to help us develop this data of phrases, words, songs, all this fun stuff for us younger ones to learn from. And this is through the Pueblo. So the Pueblo will have access to this to utilize for their programs moving forward. This is in no way a teaching program yet until it moves forward with whatever data we collect. So after we're done with the outreach portion, the information will be available for the Pueblo to use forward. And that will be up to who they bring in as instructors or curriculum developers, anything like that. I am not a teacher in any means. I am not a curriculum developer in any means. My job is outreach, to go out there and get this information out there and to do these fluency scale surveys. Each member of the home will do a fluency scale survey. I know, like little kids, they may be in 1. You talk to them when you have them sit down to eat. You have them stand up, sit down, jump, run. Those things, they know, a lot of these young kids, they know how to address you back. They know how to talk back and let you know that they understand what you're saying. So, a lot of our young kids are between a 1 and 2, some maybe even a 3. So we're really proud of that, and we want them to put that out there. And this is basically, a collection of data first, and that's basically what we're doing. After that's done, we are going to identify full proficiency speakers from San Ildefonso that utilize We'll document word pronunciation, syntax, which is how they go in order, all that fun stuff. It's the arrangement of words that create discussion and make sure, we know how to do that correctly. That's where I kind of get backwards in my mind. I think in English. I don't think in Tewa. I kind of have to make myself think in Tewa. And that's where, a lot of us that didn't grow up with hearing it every day struggle. But this is where we're at. We're going to identify full proficiency speakers, and they'll be given an opportunity to dive greater into the project with Miss Shireen Gonzalez. She's our videographer for the project. She will be there with me tonight. Her and Mr. Rick Giuliani will be able to answer questions, and she'll be able to let the community know where she comes in. What's really great about this is that she's a tribal member. She lives here. Actually, my neighbor, back and forth between here and Santa Fe, from her dad's to her place. She knows a lot of people, and she gives that respect, and she understands that things, people we're really proud of who we are here in Santa. And a lot of people, they're like, wow, are you sure it's going to stay here? I'm really firm in that, because I would never put my name on something if it would hurt anybody or hurt home. So this is where that comes in. Like I said, I'm not seeing if there's any comments or anything right now besides the one that it could be on Zoom. I'll go ahead and ask if there's any more. I think there's 4 people I see on my phone that are online with us, or unless one of them's me. Any more questions or comments? No? Okay. So tonight, the Tewa Speaks community meeting, the blast that went out yesterday was really detailed, and it was really informing. I was really grateful for that. It's going to be tonight at 6:30. So after you go get your COVID card, come by. We'll be there. It'll be at the El Rancho property right there when you drive in from El Rancho. It's right on the right side past the electrical little substation there. Me and Shireen and Rick will be there. We'll be there to give out information and have this conversation on how we're going to move forward. Next week, I will be knocking on people's doors, going door to door. Like I said, 190 homes. I will also have a link that I can send out for you to schedule a Zoom if that's what you want to do, or how you want me to assess your home. Or if you want to just go ahead and take the forms, and then I'll follow up and go and get them. There is a $50 incentive for filling out the survey per household. So the head of household will get a $50 incentive once the surveys are complete for that home. That will be distributed through the Pueblo. This is a great opportunity, for us to start gathering all this information and data, so we can start providing it for our younger kids, or even anyone that's older like me that needs more help, that needs more confidence in speaking. And because when you grow up English first, it's not easy, because like I said, that's kind of how my brain works. But it is important. I know we're trying our best. We want to preserve our language and the uniqueness of Sanai. So if there's not any more questions, I'd like to thank again the Health and Human Services team for allowing me to be on this morning. We will be at the El Rancho property tonight at 6:30. Thank you.
Thanks. Oops. Thanks, Summer. We appreciate you coming on to provide this information. I'm sure the community will benefit greatly. Any last comments or questions before you go? There wasn't anything in the comment section, so I didn't know if you had anything else to add before you disconnect.
No, I'm good. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you.
I'll see you this afternoon.
Okay. Victoria, looks like your camera's working this week. Is your sound working? Okay. All right. So we're getting close to the noon hour. I did want to make sure that, we kind of provided information that Leanna indicated earlier about the Aquatic Center being open and offering therapy pool fitness on Fridays, $40 for adults, $35 for seniors, $20 for kids in the regular pool. You get 10 visits per card for 3 months. So that is another option for physical activity. And that's a good segue into what we were going to talk about regarding the gym memberships. I don't want to go too much longer than 12 o'clock, but like we talked about last week, the gym memberships for Anytime Fitness have been approved. It is the priority for those who want to sign up for memberships will be to those individuals who are part of the target population for the diabetes program. So if you have been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes or type 1 diabetes and you're getting services through the SDPI or the diabetes program through HHS, you will have priority for the memberships. But the memberships are separated into 2 separate sections. One section is for treatment. The treatment is for those who have already been diagnosed with diabetes. And the other section is for prevention. That's for those who are at risk of developing diabetes, which, as you all may know, according to the statistics, 14% of all Native Americans and Alaska Natives are at risk of developing type 2 diabetes at some time in their lifetime, which for the Pueblo of San Ildefonso, that actually brings us to about 73 people. So 73 memberships have been identified for the community for treatment, and then there's another 43 that have been identified for individuals who have already been, 47 who have already been identified as having been diagnosed with diabetes. So that's 120, I believe, memberships that are available to the community at this time. It is a pilot project. So pilot meaning if we don't get enough participation or interest in this program, then it may not continue into the next years. So if you are interested in seeing if you qualify to get a membership through this diabetes program, please contact us at Health and Human Services, and we'll provide you with an application for you to fill out, and then we'll discuss whether you are eligible to participate in the program. It is available for tribal employees as well as for all tribal enrolled San Ildefonso community members. So wanted to throw that out there. Contact us and let us know if you have any questions. Anybody in the panel and the member of the team have anything to add before we start wrapping it up? Victoria, did you get your first fitness assessment today? Did they show up?
She said her computer was frozen or something. So
Oh yeah, it looks like she's frozen again. we're gonna have to get IT over there to fix that. But Victoria is offering. Well, Victoria is offering fitness assessments for those individuals who would like to know what their current fitness level is, whether it's cardiovascular fitness, your flexibility fitness, your height and weight, current height and weight, your body composition, which means your body fat percentage, and your body mass index. All those indicators that are we're able to use to identify what your health risks are and where you are as far as your fitness, especially if you're going to be going back to the gym and getting back into physical activity after 2 years. It is a great opportunity to determine where you are right now so that you can know where to start. In addition to the just understand the basics, it also gives you a baseline, because you will offer those every quarter. So every 3 months you can come back and you can find out exactly where you are once you have started your fitness and weight loss journey, if that's what you're looking to do. And she'll keep on monitoring that every quarter so that you can know where you are as we begin to open up and start participating in more activities. So that's all I have, unless any member of the team or the other programs has something to add, updates for HHS.
Troy,
Yes.
just to remind the community that we still are continuing the walks on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Today, I believe, will be the last day for 2 p.m. And then starting next week, it'll go to 9 o'clock in the morning. So I hope that many of you can join us. We really appreciate it. We also do health screening, and I believe I posted in the bulletin. So take a look at it. We do screenings on every other week, and they're held in the conference room at the tribal office. Also, we do make home visits, but if you'd like to, get your vitals checks, at a certain time, or just give us a call and we can also go over. But thank you everybody for joining. Really appreciate it, and have a good day. And don't forget to come and pick up your cards this evening. I know a lot of people probably forgot, so can you please remind your family members or other people about the card? Thank you.
And those cards are going to be available until 6 p.m. We started early this morning at 7:30 for those who wanted to stop by prior to work, and we're staying here until 6 o'clock this evening for those who need to come by after work. So between 4 and 6 will be the next distribution time for your gift cards if you meet the criteria for being fully vaccinated and having received your first booster shot. So if you have any questions, again, contact us 505-252-5986. And that's all I have. Anybody else have anything? You're smiling over there, Rebecca. Is that you have something to add?
I think I did enough talking for today.
All right, everybody. It's 12:06 p.m. Thank you again for joining us this week. Look forward to an additional the next week's update. Same time, same day, which is Thursday, 11 o'clock. I did want to let you all know that just look out for an announcement for a public conversation about the community health assessment that's going to be coming up. We are going to talk a little bit more about how that's going to work and what you all can do to participate. And there will be incentives also for those who participate in the community health assessment survey. But stay tuned for more information on that. And thank you all for joining us today. And we'll see you next week.